Back in 2006, Lexus founded its high-performance division called Lexus F. Lexus F models represent their high-performance-oriented variants. The RC is one of two coupe offerings from Lexus, ranking below the LC500 in pecking order. The RCF is the F-performance version of the RC coupe and weighs in at about 400 pounds lighter than the LC500. It's slightly taller, slightly shorter, slightly narrower, and decidedly less sensual than the LC500. But hey, it's got twice the trunk space and costs a whole lot less. That's if you can keep your fingers out of the options jar.
The Lexus RCF. Experience performance in every detail.
Okay, here we are in the 2020 Lexus RCF. I'm on a nice windy road today. Unfortunately, a very wet, nice windy road. I'm just tooling along right now in normal drive mode. If you keep your foot out of it and you keep it in normal mode, it's just a serene cruiser. But let's talk about this interior a bit. Like you'd probably expect from Lexus, it's a nice interior. And I've found in the other Lexus cars that we've tested, the interior materials, the craftsmanship, the layout, design, it's all just very nice. However, I will say that Lexus would do themselves a favor if they dialed back a little bit. The console is one area where I'm not that crazy about the interior of this particular Lexus. There are three different types of matte black. It's almost like they ordered matte black finished plastics from three different suppliers and just threw them together. They need to pick one and go with it. So they could do better on that. But here around the clock, you've got some nice satin finish plastic that looks convincingly like metal. Nice job there. And look at that clock. A nice analog, traditional analog clock. I like that. Overall, it's a little busy, but a nice looking environment. These seats are about as good as it gets. They're fantastic. Not a lot of different adjustments. The side bolsters don't adjust in and out. The seat doesn't extend out for additional thigh support. It doesn't have any of that stuff. It's just got forward, back, tilt, seat lift. It's got the basics, but that's all it needs. The cushioning is supportive without being abusive. It doesn't hurt you after a half an hour like some Recaro seats do. These are fantastic seats. Love them. This is very, very nicely sound insulated. All the ambient noise is sealed out. The only noise that I would say creeps in a bit is tire noise. That's the price you pay when you get the high performance version of just about anything, including a luxury car like a Lexus. So enough about the interior. How does this car drive? Well, this is not a light car. It's 3,900 pounds. But the upside of that is it feels so solid, so well put together. There is not a squeak or rattle anywhere, and it just feels like if you drove this car for 10 years, there still wouldn't be a rattle. The downside of a hefty curb weight, obviously, is usually that they don't handle well. This car handles well. It handles very well. You get it on a twisty road like this one, and it feels ridiculously nimble for the amount of weight that it's carrying. And one of the things that helps that is that there's an optional torque vectoring differential. It's a $1,250 option. This car has it. It's delivering the torque more toward the outside rear wheel or the inside rear wheel, depending on the situation. And what that does is it helps the car almost pivot as if it's got rear wheel steer or four wheel steering. It's not a disconcerting feeling. It's just very good. It makes the car feel a bit more nimble. And then there's also a track mode above that. I've played with track mode. I've played with slalom mode a little bit. I really haven't been able to tell the difference between slalom mode and track mode. I just know that when you're using that torque vectoring differential, it's a very cool feeling. What about the RC makes it an F? Well, if you take a look under the hood, you'll find an all-American-ish 5-liter V8. That's right, 5,000 cubic centimeters of displacement and not a single turbocharger anywhere. And inside, Lexus quality. Styling tweaks that are unique to the F version of the RC Coupe include front fender air outlets that are functional. They actually cool the engine compartment and the brakes, and a raised hood with a slick little vent. Also, the stacked quad tailpipes are unique to the F variant. In fact, that's become a bit of a signature for the F variants, are these stacked tailpipes that are stacked at an angle. This particular RCF that we're looking at is showing off a few additional options, and these are spendy options that I warned you about. The color is called Flare Yellow. If you want that color, it's listed as about a $600 option, so for less than $1,000, you could add Flare Yellow to your RCF. In reality, that yellow will set you back about $17,000 because it's only available if you also add the $11,000 performance package and the $5,000 premium package. While that premium package provides heated and ventilated seats, leather interior trim, and a basket full of nice convenience items, the performance package is largely made up of carbon fiber. Carbon fiber front spoiler, carbon fiber rocker splitters, carbon fiber rear diffuser, carbon fiber speed activated rear wing, and the top of the carbon mountain, the carbon fiber roof. Oh, it also brings carbon fiber interior trim into the party. I'm not a fan of pointless carbon fiber or easily damaged carbon fiber like that front lower lip, but the carbon fiber roof actually does serve a purpose by reducing weight way up at the top of the vehicle, and that helps lower the car's center of gravity. That's good news for corner carvers. But $11,000 good? Not if I'm writing the check. So driving this car in normal mode, one thing I've noticed, basically if you drive it the way I'm used to driving a normal car or going to get groceries, it feels lethargic, which is surprising considering the engine that this car has and the good 8-speed automatic that it has. Now, if you put it in Sport Plus mode, it's definitely more aggressive than that. So it's got a normal drive mode, a sport drive mode, and a Sport Plus drive mode, and an eco mode. Eco mode I don't really feel is any different than the normal mode. So the dial on the console selects your drive modes. So I'm going to tweak this over to Sport Plus. You give it much gas in Sport Plus mode and it's going to downshift. And right now I'm cruising along at a steady 50 miles per hour, and it's actually holding it in 5th gear rather than shifting up to 8th. And it's holding it in 5th gear because that keeps the revs right now at over 2,500. It's probably 2,700 RPM right now while I'm just cruising along. And the reason it wants to do that is if I give it a little bit of a throttle jab, there's instant response there. You'll also hopefully notice that there's a lot more audible engine intake and exhaust noise. I don't think this car has an active exhaust system. It should, in my opinion. So in Sport Plus mode, the suspension does stiffen up a bit, but I would not call it stiff. It's especially impressive in urban driving, just driving it around town with imperfect pavement. Any drive mode you're in, it does not feel harsh. It feels firm, but it's never harsh. It's never brittle. Small little pock marks in the pavement, it just soaks them up. It's very impressive that way. Very little difference between the Sport Plus setting and the normal setting on most roads. Got it in Sport Plus mode, and I've got it in drive, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. So here we go. So that was a run from about 20 to hyper-legal. Again, we've got some wet roads here, and it struggled for traction in first, it struggled for traction in second, but it does take off impressively well. And I'll also mention that it's not just in Sport Plus mode that you get that kind of throttle response when you demand it. If you're driving in eco mode, in normal mode, and just taking a leisurely drive, there could be times for safety reasons that you need to get on the gas and get out of the way. If you floor it, even in eco mode, it's going to take off just like that. So, Sport Plus mode, I'm going to put it in manual and have a little fun on these turns. I'm not going to drive real aggressively because these are high-performance Michelin Pilot Sport tires, which are fantastic, but they're not the best on real wet pavement. and this is wet, and this is twisty. So I'm gonna take it a little easy, but get on a little bit more than I did, and hopefully you'll get a feel of how this car drives if you wanna have some fun. For essentially a luxury car that, again, is a bit of a heavyweight, this car feels fun. So how does the steering feel on this RCF? It's good. It's a little light. My preference would be that when you dial this drive mode selector up to Sport Plus, it should weight up the steering a bit more. It does have a reasonable amount of road feel to it. And again, this car is mostly comfortable and solid and wonderful in a lot of ways. And then it's also somewhat sporty. So I think the steering feels somewhat sporty appropriately. So I've spent some time with this car. I've lived with it for a number of days. I have to say, I love a good, comfortable seat. I love a steering wheel that feels as good as this steering wheel does. I love an interior that's high quality. I like all of that stuff. Good sound insulation, a solid feel throughout. I like all of that. Does this have the acceleration and the amazing handling of a Shelby Mustang? No, but a Shelby Mustang will not even be in the same class when it comes to interior quality. Oh, just listen to that. So nice. That does not say Lexus luxury car. No, that says fun.